Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is going to be a video where I do another more in-depth Q&A. I got questions off my Instagram, at jperch on Instagram. Anytime that I do these, I'm really looking for people to write in specific questions, those type of questions that are pretty unique or individual to you. It's almost like being able to get a single question consult with a coach where they're the type of questions that a coach might answer, this is too specific, or hire a coach. I'm here to answer these. So I'm going to jump right into it. This guy writes in, I remember you did a long off season. Has your opinion changed on doing that? My opinion from that experience, for those that don't know, I did a 3-year off season. I competed at Junior USA's in 2021, and I had won a class, an open class, a few weeks prior, and then I went to Junior USA's. I was second there, and I knew that I was just way undersized still for my height. So in my mind, I was like, I'm not coming back to the stage until I am a legitimate heavyweight. And so I took 3 years, and I definitely put on much more mass, but also I don't think I did a great job managing it in terms of setting up the next prep or managing sensitivity and body fat. If I could redo it, I would probably have had a much harder diet somewhere in the middle there than what I did. I did mini cuts a few times, I think 2 or 3 times, like, when I would cruise, I would mini cut, but I never got that lean and I never dieted that hard, so I it was never like a really good reset. So, if I could do it all over again, I would come out of the show, let's say in 2021, have a big rebound for 10 weeks, cruise, do probably another 10 to 14 weeks of an off season, cruise on PEDs and like stabilized maintenance calories, or maybe even a slight surplus of calories. And then I would use the first 8 to 10 weeks of the next cycle to diet really hard. And I'm talking more aggressive than you would even for contest prep, because the end look doesn't really matter. So if you diet so hard and so fast that you pull all the body fat off, but you end up over dieted and stringy looking after 10 weeks, it doesn't matter because you're not going on stage. You're dieting to set up a rebound, or you're dieting to grow, to set up growing. So I think that if you are going to do a long off season, you need to take these things into consideration. And you should have, depending on the duration of that off season, you should have a really hard diet in the cards that you play in terms of getting to like a 6 weeks outlook, like really hard, like really thin skin, you're dry, you're feeling the diet, like training performance has started to take a hit. All of that I think is good. I think all that sets up an awesome rebound to continue on in the off season and make it really productive. This guy writes, got peeled for a show. Drugs were modest and labs are good. Designer stack now to get big. Um, all right. So designer stack. So like just my fantasy draft post show rebound cycle. I don't even know if I should do numbers or if I should do I'm not going to do numbers. I'm going to do compounds and maybe ratios. So I would have test you know, I think with the current climate of things, Masteron and Primo are just out. I don't trust at this point that it's going to be real. The price for both now is astronomical. The concentrations are at most 200 milligrams per ml. So if you're talking about running a big boy cycle, that's just a lot of oil volume. So all that in mind, I would go with EQ as my secondary compound, and then I would have NPP as my third compound. I don't know that anything does a better job of growing somebody, especially if they're crazy lean to start, than nandrolone. And there's a really interesting synergy between nandrolone and growth hormone, especially higher dose growth hormone. So I would run those three, and it would be in a ratio of 2 milligrams of test for every 1 milligram of EQ for every 0.5 milligram or maybe even less of NPP. I said I wasn't going to talk doses. I think anywhere from 30 to 50 milligrams per day of NPP is more than enough. And then I would do truly as much growth hormone as you can afford. I think from what I've been really diving into this recently and trying to absorb as much information as I can from the most legitimate sources on bodybuilding uses of growth hormone. And the consensus seems to be that there's really not a diminished return for bodybuilding purposes on growth hormone doses per day until somewhere between like 28 to 36 or something. I mean, I recently heard a very big bodybuilder talking about 54 IUs a day. I think that's beyond the pale, but I don't think people that are outside of the world of competitive bodybuilding and maybe not quite as tuned into the war, like to being in the know with a lot of different pro bodybuilders and different circles of people, the way that I've spent 10 years working in the fitness industry. So you hear and see what is really going on. And that, I think, is the number one thing that guys are not open about publicly. They'll talk about gear, they'll tell you that they're on GH and insulin, and they are telling you a fraction of what they're using in terms of GH, especially 20 IUs a day for guys that are at the national level or especially the pro level is, I don't want to say it's the standard, but it's common. It's certainly not uncommon to hear 20 IUs a day. So, if we're talking like pushing big boy growth and like growing into a big enhanced bodybuilder, it should be 10 IUs a day of GH to go along with that. I would probably have T4 in, and then depending on the water accumulation, the look, the amount of food you're eating, at some point I would work in both rapid and long-term insulin. So Humalog and Lantus, they would be leveraged as well at a certain point. And I think that's more than enough. And I don't think post-show, especially if GH is super high and you're at some point going to utilize insulin, I don't think the gear needs to be crazy high. Like if you did a prep cycle, and at the end of prep, including orals and everything, you ended up on 3 grams, which is pretty common, guys, for competitive bodybuilders. I think half of that in injectables in this post-show phase will do you more than good. and keeping it somewhere in that ratio. I like higher test, especially again when someone is super super lean like that. I'm shooting for max anabolism because it's different than like being at peak off season when water is a consideration. So when someone's skinned out after a show, I like high test. I like nandrolone, like I talked about. And that's everything. I'll tell you guys this, actually. I'm considering I'm going to be in this situation soon enough, coming out of a show. And so that's basically what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using probably a gram of test, probably 500 EQ, and probably 210 milligrams of NPP. I'm going to bring GH higher than it's ever been, probably do 20 IUs a day. And I'm considering trialing IGF LR3 for the first time. I've never used it. I'm considering using 500 micrograms per training day. So that's that. This guy writes in and says, behind in prep, working my ass off, high cardio, low food, and stuck. What am I doing wrong? Man, there's a multitude of things that you could be doing better. I would, it's all the rave right now. You guys have heard me talk about it, but I just cannot express how much of a game changer it is in this exact scenario and preventing this scenario even from happening. If you're ahead of the curve at the start of your prep, the ability to optimize your mitochondrial function is going to change everything for you. Right now, as I record this video, I'm about 4.5 weeks out from a show. And according to my coach and just a few close bodybuilding friends that also coach and really know what they're talking about, I am damn near ready. I'm pretty much, I could step on stage now and be the best that I've ever been. To give you an idea, I still want to be even 1 or 2% better. So I wouldn't say I'm 100% ready, but I'm sliced. I got both butt cheeks are striated to the booty hole. And most days, for most of the day, I don't feel like this is unsustainable. I don't feel like I'm suffering. It doesn't even feel uncomfortable for most of the day. So I would look at that. I like SLU PP332. I like MOTS-C. I think as long as you're not using any type of SSRI, antidepressant, or sleep medication, methylene blue can be really good to go along with that, to oxygenate your cells and further push the efficiency of their fat burning capabilities. I also found anecdotally that it seems like your stimulants go further when used in combination with methylene blue. Like you get more out of it, and you're not like jittery and wired, but you're cognitively on. I would make sure I take all of those things in the morning before fasted cardio. I think I've changed my stance on this because I've seen a great response this prep from this. I think injectable L-carnitine is something that you could leverage at, like, a lot of these research companies offer, 500 or 600 milligrams per ml. BioLongevity Labs, JP15, they offer L-carnitine injectable, I think 600 milligrams per ml. 1 ml every morning fasted, again, before cardio is totally fine. That's more than enough. I wouldn't go more than that, and that will create a lot of benefit. I would just look at what your current stack is between thyroid medication, between lipolytic fat burners. I would go get your blood work done so that you can see for sure what's going on. Are you crazy inflamed? Is your CRP 5? Is reverse T3 sky high, meaning that the thyroid hormone is bound up instead of free and being used by the body? So I think the big one is the thyroid here. So I would go get that checked out. Um, Also, I would communicate with your coach and just say, man, I'm nailing it. I'm frustrated. Like, what can we do here? You may need to push harder. If you've been pushing really, really hard, both ends of the spectrum in terms of low food, high cardio, training performance is starting to suffer, body weight is almost going up, you might need a day or 2 days off. I wouldn't necessarily say that you need more food. A lot of times, just a couple days off from everything. Don't track your steps, don't do cardio, don't go to the gym, and just chill. Stay on your diet, keep your fat burners, lipolytics in, and hopefully get a couple decent nights of sleep, and hopefully you drop off some inflammation and some water. I have 6 weeks left planned of my current cycle. A1C came back at 5.8, looking soft. How to move forward? 6 weeks left of the current cycle. I would use it right now to aggressively cut. I would aggressively cut for 6 weeks while androgens are still up. Your training performance should only continue to rise. And you can pull off a lot of body fat in 6 weeks. Then you get to a point where it's time to cruise, and maybe you bring food back up because the deficit was so severe. You bring food back up just to like a maintenance level or even like a slight deficit, but it's comfortable. It's maintainable, especially for training. And then you cruise and like hold that new level of lowered body fat and sensitivity. And then it should set you up to hit the ground running when it's time for your next cycle. Telltale signs that a small deload is warranted during prep, diet/training changes. So I'd first like to set my understanding of the word deload as a definition. When I hear deload, I think to myself that that's some period of time where you continue to go to the gym, but you do either less training intensity, less training volume, or an overall load reduction, or some combination of those three. And this is something I've changed my opinion on as well over time. I don't personally do this, and I don't have my clients do this in any season. I think when you reach a point that in the off season, let's say, okay, no, so this guy's asking about prep. So in prep, if you've reached a point where like there was a rapid decline in training performance, let's say like over 3 or 4 days, it just consistently stunk and you like can't get off the couch and you hate going to the gym. There's a good portion of prep if you're getting in really good shape that you're not going to enjoy or like be excited to go to the gym. I think that's normal. But if you're like, man, I cannot even bring myself to go do this, I will just have you take the day off. I will have you take two days off completely. Same thing even in the off season. Like you should be excited about what's going on in the gym every day and you should look forward to doing it. Eventually you're going to get to a point where your joints feel beat up. You're not looking forward to going to the gym. Off season to me, I don't think that training performance should ever stall or regress. I think you went way too far if that happens in the off season. But those other signs of like training desire being way down and just feeling beat up, recurring, nagging little injuries, take 2 days off, take 3 days off in the off season. My idea with that is you are at a point where you are under recovered. And my job as a coach is to get you back into a fully recovered spot to be able to attack the gym. I can get you back to that point much, much faster if you stay home and don't go to the gym. I think this idea of suboptimal training is just delaying how long you're under recovered for, and it's not even doing anything productive. You're not doing anything productive in the gym. So stay home, rest, mentally and physically recharge, and come back ready to be productive and ready to be aggressive. I think that's where I'm going to leave this one for here. I did get asked by my friend Brian Tweer. He said, "Can you explain your prep with Compton compared to other coaches?" I'm super impressed. Thank you, Brian. Um, I'm going to save this because I'm doing the prep series as well. And I am also very self aware and self reflective. And so, following my season, I think that will be a good time for that. And I will make a video and just air all that out and wear my heart on my sleeve in a video and talk about the prep and my, at that point, it'll be multiple years with Compton compared to other coaches. Um, so I'll save it for now. And that's where I'm going to wrap it. So thanks to everybody that wrote in questions, and I'll talk to you guys next time.